Hello, Pete, and welcome to DJ's Denim and Leather Show. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic, Darren. Thanks. Thanks for getting in touch. And
No,
this is brilliant. It's a real pleasure to be able to speak to you.
and the pleasure's all mine, honestly. Right then, I believe Marquis de Sade came into being at the end of 1980. What were the circumstances around this, Pete?
Well, before Marquis de Sade, drummer Gary, brother Kevin on guitar, and Ramo, the keyboard player.
Yeah.
There was a band Mixsticks.
Right. Okay.
They recorded a copy of Somewhere Up in the Mountains. And my brother Chris, who's obviously Marquis de Sade singer, and me, bass player, we were in a band doing a lot of the old circuit, but this was about 78, doing the circuit called Cathedral, but not the cathedral that everyone knows.
Yeah.
We were more like Van Halen meeting Rush. It was it was good. We were getting some following, doing some good gigs. But when that come to an end, I mean, guitarist Dean moved on. So Chris and I was looking through the old usual route, sounds, Melody Maker, saw an ad, singer bass player needed. And Chris and I, we went down to the audition and just straight away thought, this is it. Fantastic. Brilliant. It was all there. The songs were written, the set was there, and the musicianship. We thought, yeah, this suits us. Yeah. And that's it really. But it was a bit earlier. I think it was probably 79.
Right.
Later part 79 really, this all happened. Yeah, so it was pretty much on the day. We went down and I think Gary had sent us a demo and we learnt some songs, got in and it just flowed. I thought, yeah, lovely.
Oh, excellent. So that sort of, once you joined the band then, that sort of first year, you were doing quite a lot of gigs around London with the likes of Stray, Samson, Magnum, I've read.
That's right, yeah, opening up for these bands, but luckily it was quite a bit around the country. We got around a bit, got outside of London, and
oh right, okay.
In fact, some of it might have been where our next gig is, and maybe we'll come to that later on in the interview, won't we? And
yes, we will, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, down that way, but it was great fun, being able to open up for the likes of Samson, and who I'd seen so many times, and Magnum. What a band, and you're opening up for these. But one story with Magnum in Gillingham, great big venue,
right,
and it was a load of people. It was packed. So we opened up, had a great set. The crowd were really with us. It was a fantastic night. Magnum come on during the first song. All the power went out.
Oh, blimey!
And there was a little corner of the crowd started chanting Marquis de Sade. And we just sort of thought, I don't know if this is good or bad for us, really, but it was a fantastic night. But luckily, the power come on and Magnum come back and slayed them. Had brilliant night.
Right, okay. Actually, I just wanted to touch on something. We just mentioned Magnum. Obviously, you had a keyboard player in the band, obviously San Remo. Now, listening to your music, though, you still had that real heavy, well, whether you want to call it new wave or British heavy metal. I mean, I've had this discussion so many times about, did bands consider themselves to be that, or was it a label and all the rest of it? But although you had a keyboard player, which added a lot of melody for me, you still maintain that real heavy edge to you as well. Was that something that you consciously were trying to do? I
think on my side, yeah, because I'm pretty much a metalhead.
Yeah.
And I've put me in front of it, Sabbath and AC/DC. Well, Uriah Heep got me into music. They're my sort of legends. It was because I saw a picture of Mick Box one day, the long hair flares. I said, that's me. So, and that's what I did over. I just grew my hair and wanted to play metal.
Right.
And but when joining Marquis de Sade with a keyboard player, we all thought this is brilliant. It was, Gary and Kevin had their songs written, and I think I was trying to bring an heavier edge to the stuff with songs like Black Angel and London Air.
Yeah.
And but somebody said once, you like Maiden with keyboards, because we did them chuggy riffs, all those, like them gallopy chuggy riffs that we all like.
Yeah.
But Ramo, he played guitar as well, but he was so fast on the keys. And it just brought, like I say, Maiden with keys. But I think with a new wave of British heavy metal tag that went with us, we were around the same era. So I think a lot of people got drawn into that. that label, which is not a bad thing at all.
Right.
But that's an interesting one, how the band name come about as well, because Gary is a graphic designer as well. Incredible stuff. We'll have to send you some of the work he does. Incredible.
Yeah.
But he all had the logo, the M, from Mixsticks.
Ah, right. Okay.
So once Chris and I got settled into the band, I said, right, we need a new name. So we all sat around a traditional band meeting up the pub. But he said, it's got to begin with M because we got the logo.
Right,
So
okay.
we come up all sorts of names, and I think it might have been Chris, I'm not sure, Chris. And he come up with Marquis Sade, and it just stuck.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
the name come because of the logo. It had to begin with M because the logo is, what we all know now.
So you cut the single Somewhere Up in the Mountains, Black Angel on the B-side. Now, it's looked upon as a sort of a holy grail release, but there were only ever 500 copies, I believe, wasn't there?
Well, Gary told us a story fairly recent. Once we started going out together, he told me the story of this.
Yeah.
The record company, Expos Records, we believe there was 1,000 copies made.
Right.
Gary went to get 500, then said, I'll come back for the others. I don't know what happened, whether the band started to fade away by then or Gary just didn't get back. So no one ever knows what happened to the other 500.
Right.
It's the Marquis de Sade mystery. So we know there was 500 out there somewhere, but 500 that didn't get collected were probably just melted down and reused for something else at some time.
Right, okay.
So
it's not worth us checking in the loft to see if we've got 500. Right.
Someone might have, mightn't they?
Well, you
Someone
never know.
might have.
You never know.
I mean, I know one thing for sure. I've only got one copy. And would you believe I got that a couple of years ago as a birthday present from my oldest friend. He found a copy in his cupboard, had it framed for me. So I got the cover, single, the inner sleeve picture, and gave it to me as a birthday present a couple of years back. And that's the only copy I've got.
I've seen that picture. I've seen that picture on Facebook, I think. Yeah, it looks lovely.
In fact, the picture of me on Facebook is the day he presented it to me.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right then.
Yeah.
Obviously, the single was done. And there were some demos, which included London Air. Also, Welcome to the Graveyard. So, were these all recorded around the same sort of time?
Yeah, definitely. It was all around 80, 81.
Yeah.
And it was just stuff to get out, to take to gigs or, to send to companies just to try and push ourselves. And, that was it. Yeah, it was all done about the same time, between 80, 81.
And obviously they came out on the Eye Roller release in 2012.
Yeah, they got in touch with us out of the blue. I mean, they found Chris through social media.
Yeah.
And they got in touch and said, would we be interested in bringing out like the mini album? Yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. And it was reissued a few years ago. They got in touch again and they brought it out on CD and vinyl again.
Yeah.
And it got great quality. They've done it. It's amazing work they've done.
Eye Roller do fantastic work. There's so many bands that I've interviewed, Pete, when they've had stuff done on Eye Roller, and they do a wonderful job. All the packaging and the sound they get out of some of the older tapes as well is fantastic.
Yeah, so, say the gatefold album cover, the vinyl with all the photographs, which you sit there and go, where did you get all these? But they're brilliant.
Yeah,
these people do it. And then someone told me once, I was in Holland playing once, and somebody pulled out the single, and I said, long before internet. I said, where'd you get these? And he just said, well, if you want it, you find it.
Well,
and I suppose that's it, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of big collectors out there that will move heaven and earth to find them, mate. They really will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay
then, Pete, we're going to have a listen to our first piece of music. Could you tell us what it is then, please?
Well, it's the classic. It's only one song we can play, really. Somewhere Up in the Mountains.
Right, so I've read it was around about late 82 then the band sort of came to a close at that point then, was it?
Well, this is another difficult one.
Right.
It just sort of drifted. Time drifted. There was a little bit of an issue with Ramo. A couple of things we didn't see eye to eye with.
Right.
And so it did. The rehearsals sort of dropped away a little bit. And then, over the months, next thing you know, it sort of drifted apart. And so it never really, just officially, we didn't sit there and go, all right, let's call it a day. It just drifted.
Right. Okay.
And then, obviously, 42 years later, it drifted back.
Well, yes, and we'll definitely come on to that. Right, so okay, so after the band's drifted, as you say, I just want to talk about you personally now for a moment. I believe you joined Blind Fury in '83 to commence recording on what became Demo '84.
Yeah. Where I was living in South London.
Yeah.
Kevin Aborn from Angel Witch was living opposite me, so obviously we didn't know him that well at all, but we knew who each other were just through playing. I mean, the amounts of times I've been to see Angel Witch, and I'd seen him a couple of our gigs and all the metal clubs around London at that time, Kingsbury, Soundhouse, and Clarendon and Hammersmith, and you just hang around with it. And next thing you get to know people. Well, Kev, I was sitting indoors one day. Oh, would you believe, Darren? It's one of them days. That weekend, I went and had all my hair cut short. Had my hair cut off. I thought, no, this is, I'm going to do it. Had my hair cut. Kevin Abel knocks at my door, said, I'm starting a band. Do you want to play bass? And as he's standing there with his long hair and all metalled up, and I think, oh no, what have I done? he said, yeah. And when you see some of the Blind Fury photos, it says the drummer Steve, who's like Lou Taylor, brilliant.
Lou Taylor,
brilliant singer.
I'm friends with Lou, great bloke.
Lou Taylor, what a singer! He's just what a front man. Brilliant, Lou.
Yeah.
And there's me looking a typical mid-80s haircut, and you think, wow, what have I done? But no, we had a great time with Blind Fury. It was really good gigs.
Right.
Playing the old Ruskin Arms.
Yeah.
And with the rain, it pouring a rain, and when we looked behind on the back wall of the stage, the rainwater was pouring down the wall, all over the plug sockets. Well, we're going up in a minute.
Oh, right.
But, brilliant days, brilliant fun.
So that then progressed back into Angel Witch then, I believe.
Well, what happened there, Kev got a call from a management company.
Yeah.
And they said they'd had some interest for Angel Witch. Might be an idea to get it back together.
Right.
So Kevin and I got on quite well. So he asked me to, do you want to come along on bass? And we got the original drummer, Dave Ogg, back in. So it was probably about 84-ish, 84, 85. So Kevin had a lot of songs written. And, so we started rehearsing, the three of us again. And the management put us in the studio up in Stoke-on-Trent to make the first album that I did with them, so it'd be Angel Witch's second album. Quite different from the original album. I mean, people have said, they're calling it Mark II, Angel Witch Mark II, and then the following year, management put us back in the studio to do the next album, Frontal Assault and Screaming and Bleeding.
That's it, yeah, Screaming and Bleeding, Frontal Assault, yeah. Just a point on that. I mean, there's a track on Screaming and Bleeding, Evil Games. That track mystifies me a little bit, because I could honestly say I thought that was from from the early days of Angel Witch. Just a little point that I don't know.
No, it's a possibility, because Kev's wife at the time, Sue.
Yeah.
I believe she wrote the lyrics to that.
Ah, right.
I think it's credited on the album as Kevin and Sue Hayborn. And
I'll have to have a look.
We got in quite a bit of trouble up in Stoke-on-Trent. Nice bit of publicity for it. It's about school children. It's about children at school. How nasty they can be to each other behind each other's backs. So it's just evil games children can play on like so-called friends. So the executive producer had the idea of drafting in from some school children
Right.
from Handley, I think it's called, the town up there, Handley,
Yeah, yeah.
just to chant Evil Games over the chorus
Ah, right, okay.
along the outro. So they come and singing Evil Games, and the next thing the local press picked up that we drafted in children to encourage them into devil worship.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, so they got that a bit wrong.
Yeah.
But it was good fun. It got us a bit of publicity. People got people talking about us.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a good song. Good song.
Yeah, yeah. Right, just to sort of round off that period then. 1989, Kev moved to America.
Yeah, we went to America in '89 and just toured the length of California.
Right.
Incredible time, brilliant. Because like people were saying to us out there, we got all your albums, but never seen you.
Yeah.
So to be honest, we couldn't do anything wrong. We just walk on stage and it couldn't go wrong. It was a fantastic time, brilliant gigs, great crowds, everyone. And when we got back, Kev wanted to desperately go back, and we all did. But the rest of the band was saying, we need to go back for a reason. You can't just go back to America without, at least we had gigs and somewhere to stay and everything that time.
Yeah.
So Kev got in with some people, got in some friends. So he went back with the same manager that took us out. I think it was Jeff Weller. He took us out there, and Kev went out and formed Angel Witch with some American musicians. That was really the end of my time with Angel Witch. Yeah, so
right, okay.
I just started to look around from that time to see what I could do to move on.
Yeah. So then, was it Dry Shaft next then, Pete?
Yep. Yeah, I believe it was. It's getting quite a list of bands for me, isn't it, really? Dry Shaft, yeah, lucky. I was, again, looking around the ads and saw this ad in Sounds probably again, and but from South London, not far from where I lived, so went down and met the drummer, Mick Mahar, and his singer, Jerry Lane, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got on really well, hit it off really quick, and so we got the band together. Just done a lot of gigs, but that was it really. Never really recorded anything. Yeah, and it was good fun.
So, if I can just move on to 2012, I believe you joined Soldier.
Right, with Soldier.
Yeah.
I moved up to the village outside Northampton.
Right,
and
okay. This
I
is
opened
time.
a rehearsal studio in town with my wife. And so about that time, Soldier, guitarist Ian, I think he was the founder member.
Yeah.
He had some gigs come up at a festival in Wales, and the singer at the time, Richard
Frost.
Well, they needed a bass player, Richard Frost.
Yeah.
I knew him really well, and he just rang and said, need a bass player for some gigs. So I said, yeah, I'm up for that. But so really, I didn't really join them. It was just, I did 3 gigs basically.
Oh,
It was just stepping really, just stood in until they got a permanent member.
Right, okay.
But no, they're good, great band, great songs.
Yeah,
and
superb,
the festival was a brilliant day out. Yeah, a good weekend, full metal weekend.
Great
in
stuff.
Wales.
Okay, so let's move on then to 2019. There's a memorial gig for Kevin who sadly passed away. Now, I believe this was the first time you got to hear Giles play.
Yeah.
Giles Holland.
Yeah, no, it was when we heard the news about Kev, obviously devastating news.
Yeah.
And so Gary organised. It was more. It was a gathering as a celebration of Kev's life. So I said, yeah, I've got to go to this. So one of Kev's old bands played, and Gary did a few tunes with Giles, did some things like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, that type of thing. But when I got there, it was all the old crowd from the Marquis Sade days.
Yeah.
Friends, family, some of the old fans. It was brilliant night. But people all night were saying, you've got to get back together.
Right.
And we said, yeah, well, me and Gary are going, yeah, if we could get... Well, and Giles on keys is phenomenal. You've never seen anyone play like it. Phenomenal musician. Keeps us in tow because he luckily with us, he can score everything. So if we ever go wrong in rehearsals, he gets his score and goes, "That's what you do." Oh, thanks, Giles. So yeah, he keeps us in check. It's fantastic. So
Brilliant.
he said on the night, he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And so Giles was on board. So we thought, right, we need a guitar player. Well, my younger brother Paul used to travel around with our parents would have killed us if they found out. We used to pile him in the back of a van when he was sort of 13, 14, with all the crew, any hangers on we could pick up, all the kit, and drive to all these gigs down in Kent, up in Leicester, and just sort of, he just come around with us. So he knew the score of it, and he's just grew into a fantastic guitar player. I don't know where it all come from. One day we're playing, we rehearsed, and always knew he was good, but we rehearsed and thought, where's this coming from with Paul? So we said to Paul, would you do it? I think he said yeah before I finished the question, and luckily he fitted straight in because he just remembers the days, he remembers the setup, and what was required. He's listened to Kevin a lot, he's seen Kevin play a lot, and listened to his style of playing. And he's just fitted straight in. It's a fantastic lineup now, incredible lineup.
It certainly is, and you're dead right what you've just said. I mean, I've listened to the stuff quite a lot just of late, and Kevin was a wonderful guitar player, and like
unique, definitely unique. He had these. You'd sit there looking and think, where's this idea coming from? It wasn't just a straightforward solos coming out. It was some strange things, this fast picking he was doing, but it was it's some incredible stuff, and luckily Paul's took a lot of that on board. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, Pete, we can have a listen to our second piece of music then. Could you tell us what it is, please?
Yeah, it's a reworking of one of our old songs written in 1980 by myself and my brother Chris, and there's also a video on YouTube of this song that was done during lockdown, and the song's called London Air.
Right, lockdown, pandemic, etc.
Oh, yeah.
But you've used the time wisely, though. You really have. I mean, you reworked London Air, and then you obviously there's a new album.
Yeah,
Tell me
it's well underway at the moment. Well underway. Luckily, with today's technology and everyone's knowledge, we can do a lot of this from home while it's been, because we're all dotted around. As I say, Chris is in Spain, Paul's down the south coast. You've got Gary and Joel's down near Croydon, and I'm up in Northamptonshire. So luckily, we can do all this at home, send it down to Paul, and he does all the clever stuff. But well, we had quite a lot of ideas anyway.
Yeah.
Paul does a lot of solo stuff. He records a lot of his own solo work. But some of the ideas, we said, Paul, that's got to go in the set. Chris has had a lot of lyrics. Gary still writes a lot of lyrics. And so the song, I mean, we could have done a double album, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the songs just come out all of a sudden in a matter of weeks. We had enough for this album. And like I said, because Paul, knowing the Marquis de Sade setup, his style and everything is fitted straight in. It's still got that keyboard prog-ish edge with the heavy side as well. And obviously Gary and Chris's lyrics are just a continuation from 40 years ago. Yeah,
I mean, obviously you just said the word prog. I mean, I personally, I'm a big prog fan as well. But I heard an interview that Gary and Chris and Giles had done, and Chris sort of said, you know, he's a metalhead, and I suppose predominantly yes, but I think the keyboards just had that, like I said earlier, that little that melodic touch. You know, I call it brutal and beautiful, really, if you know what I mean. That's a term I like to use.
Nice point.
You know, and it just, I don't know, it just gives you that little bit of something else for me, you know. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, it definitely, it's not just two guitars powering away in the background, just riff after riff. And especially Giles' style of playing. It's hard to describe. You have to see it. It's incredible playing. And I remember the first sort of few rehearsals we had, Paul and Giles were watching me, saying, Pete, you're playing all the wrong notes here, and I forgot. I was just watching them two playing. And I was so amazed by what they were doing. I wanted to put my guitar down. I thought I'd just sit here and watch them two for a night. But it was how it all fitted in, because obviously Chris, Gary, and I, we just started playing, looked at each other, laughing, and then this is just like it's all come back overnight. But then you had Paul and Giles putting this extra into it, incredible musicianship. So it does bring. Giles definitely does bring a real clever edge to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Sunday the 12th of June, Marquis de Sade play Resurrection Rockfest. What was that like then, Pete?
Oh, incredible build-up. So getting all rehearsals, working out set, which was good fun to do again after all that time. But my old roadie, my good old mate Dave Benning, turns up. He used to come with it like all over with Angel Witch with us. So he turns up, and then all the old faces would turn up, surprise after surprise, all night. Faces you think, I haven't seen you for 35 years, and there they were. So we arrive at the venue, load in, sound checking, and he was looking at Gary laughing again, because we're doing it again. When we went on, it was amazing. Luckily, everyone had bought a T-shirt, so you look out and it's just Marquis de Sade T-shirts everywhere, and it was just such, obviously very emotional for Chris, my brother Chris.
Right.
He'd gone through a serious loss, and with Kevin's thoughts with us all, a very emotional day. And our biggest fan turned up. The reason it all got started, really, Gary and Kevin's dad is 92, and he came up, and he was with all the family in the audience, and we looked up. He was up with the air guitar at 92, and
Brilliant.
brilliant. to see him. But it was through Ron that he knew Kenny Lynch, who ran Expos Records.
Right, okay.
Kenny Lynch, the entertainer from way back.
Yeah, so
he knew Kenny Lynch. Kenny Lynch came down to see us down the Old Kent Road, Thomas à Becket down the Old Kent Road, and for him, he put the single out.
Right, okay.
So to do that and see Ron at 92 in the audience again, it was very emotional, yeah.
I just wanted to say how I didn't know about Chris's loss, and I'm so sorry to have read that. And please accept my condolences from DJ Denim.
Thanks, Dan. It's much appreciated. We're all struggling with it, to be honest. It's everyone, and Chris being in Spain. Yeah. He's got great friends around him. He's got a band out there. They do some nice gigs in Spain. He's okay, but it's just being so far away. When he's not having a good day, you want to be with him.
Of course.
And it was a bit too sudden, too soon, too sudden. And it's been difficult, but for Chris to keep doing what he's doing and how well he's doing it is incredible.
No, I have got to say, when I listened to it, he spoke about how he's had classical training, etc. He's got a wonderful, well, I suppose the word vibrato is a word I'm going to use, but he's got a way of delivering a vocal now that it's exceptional, I think, to be honest.
Thanks, Dan. Should I tell him? I don't know if I should tell him you said that. Well, I might tell him. Yeah, I'll tell him.
Right, so we now have a gig at Leo's Red Lion coming up then, on July 29th. Now, I just wanted to say, I remember you saying something to me that you maybe remembered for 40 years ago with this one, or whatever, What happened? Yeah. What happened the first time?
We had old Bomber Bradley used to come and roadie, but he was our pyrotechnics man.
Right.
And he had quite a few tricks to make them go flash and bang a lot louder than they were when he purchased them.
Yeah.
So, like a couple of venues, I think, he's blew us up really, basically, at the Red Lion. And a friend of mine once said, he said, I've seen you. Well, no, he said, I've heard you. I've never seen you. He said, because as I walked in, the first call, all the bombs went off, place filled with smoke. Just as the smoke was clearing, you went, good night, bang, and all the bombs went off again. He said, so I've heard you, but never seen you. So, luckily, that's all them years back, he's come into the gig. And obviously with health and safety rules nowadays, we're not allowed none of that. No. So he'll actually see us this time.
Oh, okay.
But we did it in a few venues. Old Bomber Bradley would get carried away and
he overdone the mix a little bit that night.
He did, yeah. He definitely overdid the mix. So no, some good. In fact, the fellow, the owner there, he did say when he was talking to our friend who was trying to organise a gig, he said he remembers us. I'm hoping it was for our music and not because we blew the place up. Hopefully we'll find out when we get there. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And following on from that, then you're playing the Abyss Festival in Sweden on November the weekend of November the 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to as well, then.
Yeah, can't wait. It was always a big buzz going away. Going abroad to play. It was always that little bit of a buzz getting there. So.
Yeah.
It'd be a great time. But it's because when you said about COVID, we had a festival in Newcastle. We had was it Keep It True?
Yes,
I believe lined up as well. But COVID came and cancelled all of that. So this is going to be special to get out to there to play the Abyss Festival now. We've been waiting for 3 years to do it. So it's going to be a good one.
That'll be superb. That will. Time now for our last piece of music, then, Pete. What will we be listening to?
Well, I thought it'd be nice to leave you with something new. And this is going to feature on the new album. And it's a song called Now I Lay Me Down.
one last question I always ask. Have you got any messages out there for the fans?
Well, you know, I was thinking about this, Darren, and the main thing is, I want a massive thanks for everybody that came to us in the old days,
Yeah.
bought the single. We see these write-ups, and like you said, we read a write-up, it become the Holy Grail on a new wave of British heavy metal singles.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us, obviously, but it was just the people that bought it and all the collectors that keep searching for it.
Yeah.
And so it's a massive thanks to all of those people to make the single, and help make the single what it is, and to keep our name alive. So for the comeback now, after 42 years, it's, just thanks everyone. Can't wait to see you all at the gigs. If you can make it to Leo's in Gravesend on the 29th, it would be amazing to see you all. So we're looking forward to it. Take care, everyone.
Absolutely, and we can't wait. Well, I can't wait to see you anyway, so I'll be there. Well, Pete, I'd like to thank you for joining me on DJ's Denim and Leather, and wish you all the best for the gigs coming up, and obviously all the best with the new album and for the future.
Well, thank you, Darren. Thanks for taking the time. We'll see you very soon at a gig.
You will.